Hello, everyone. My name is Armando Perez-Carreno, and I'm joined today by Rahul Karan from Steady Steps. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you, Armando, for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. And thank you for whatever you're doing for the community. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. And again, I'm really excited that you're on. For everyone who's listening, Rahul will talk to us about a few very interesting aspects on leadership, but I'll let you introduce yourself first so that our audience knows who you are.
Absolutely. So, Rahul, by person, is a giver, a son, a father, and always strive to learn. I moved into this leadership space with 20 years of experience, and now it's been close to 14 months that I'm doing consulting, organization development consulting, and leadership transformation services for my clients. In nutshell, what I do, I help people transform. I do human transformation. And the way I do is not a one size fit all kind of a solution. It is a unique solution for an organization. It's a unique solution for an individual. So my programs, yes, they are training programs. Yes, they are workshop. But the way they differentiate with others is I provide personal coaching, personal, involvement. And when I say personal, it is that you have you go for a workshop, but typically when you go for a workshop, once you are done, you're out. But with my clients, I work with them for at least 2 to 3 months post my workshop to make sure that they get what they learn. Because the objective is not for people just to come and get trained and pay me money. No, the objective is for me to make sure that they get the impact that they were looking for. And that's what I'm here to do. With God's grace, God has been kind, given me good fame, good money. So it's not about money, it's more about the transformation. So that is who I am, and I'm here to help organizations, individuals to be the better version of themselves.
Thank you, Rahul. It is very different from what we typically see, as you very clearly said, in workshops, trainings. I led workshops many years ago. I did tons of workshops, and you did see that from feedback from customers that a lot of these workshops that people go to, they're all very excited. They go, they learn. Sometimes they learn, sometimes they don't learn. But at the end of the day, it sort of finishes, and there's that excitement, and then they don't do anything with it. So the fact that you carry on with them, that is very different, and I think very much needed in the
Absolutely.
space. And if for anyone who's been listening recently to the show, we're doing a lot of these based on training, and it's just so important to have that follow up. Some people do communities around it. Some people use cohorts so that people are learning together. And in your case, you're continuing that conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you said it well that you have to find a way. It is just not always the facilitator. Sometimes the participant don't like the facilitator for whatever reason, and it's completely okay because you cannot satisfy each and every individual. But it is in your hand how you get the most out of it. Since I've started my entrepreneurial journey, I myself had multiple coaches. I myself have invested in my own development, and it's not that every time I got what I was looking for, but every time I'm learning that okay, this may not be the right approach. So if tomorrow I have to hire a coach, if the coach is having this approach, may not work for me. So at least you become self-aware. You become more knowledgeable about what not to do. More than what to do, you become more knowledgeable what not to do.
That is a good point. I think Alex Hormozy, I was listening to one of his episodes the other day, and for those who don't know, he's like a serial entrepreneur, but he helps a lot of businesses through his YouTube content and other content just to grow, because at the end of the day, he wants businesses to grow because he has an acquisition company. And so if businesses grow, there's a potential for him to buy them. And so he just blasts the internet with tons of very valuable business content. But one of the things he said in relation to this was precisely that there's no real waste. If, first of all, you shouldn't say, oh, I'm already the best, right? There's always someone who can teach you something. So like Rahul was saying, it's great to have coaches and learn along the way. You might find some that you don't like, and you might find some that are just terrible, but it's really not a bad investment because you learned what is not good. You learned what not to do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And see, today one of the posts that I did on LinkedIn was about what is a common leadership trap. And one of the common leadership trap related to training is whenever any leader, any manager, any organization, the moment they see a problem, whether it is about employee morale, attrition, productivity, most of them, what they do is they organize a training program. I need training. I need training. Without really identifying the root cause. And most of the time, Armando, training is not the solution for everything. Because not everyone is looking for training. What organization need to do is, one, they need to take a step back and try to identify the root cause and why there is a root cause. If I am having a water leakage, if I just do a paint over it, that leakage will not stop. It will come again whenever there is a rain next time. So organization needs to understand that training is not the solution for each and every human related problem. They need to do a root cause analysis. And number two is the human angle. Talk to people. Talk to people who are actually facing the issues, facing the challenges. And it is a very known truth that people don't change when they are told to change. People change when the change comes from within. So when you throw things to people that, hey, I have done this, organized this training, 50% of them will take a laid back approach and not come with the attitude that you want them to come. But when you involve them, when you ask for solutions from them, whether you take their solution or not, that's a separate story, but at least involve them. And the third thing is, one, as I said, is identify the root cause. Second, the human angle. And the third piece is collaborate. Collaborate with different people. Not all the time you will have all the resources, but collectively you may have all. So you need to identify those people who can help you, and then decide whether training is the solution or not. Because I have observed, Armando, that when I talk to leaders, about their challenges, they tell me their challenges from a futuristic perspective. That they want their team member to be ready for future. They want them to be ready for all the disruption that's gonna happen. Now, when I go to my individual contributors or the real trainees, for them, what they're looking for is how this training will be helpful for me today. So there's a huge gap. Leader is thinking about future, which rightly he or she should. I'm not debating that. But on the other hand, the employee is not concerned about the future. Their challenge or problem is today. So as an organizational development expert, I need to satisfy both the parties, the futuristic leader as well as the practical employee. And why most of the training programs, and according to McKinsey report, only 3% of training programs are successful. And the reason they are not successful, 97% are not successful, is because we try to focus on quick fix rather than focusing on a long-term solution.
Wow, 3%. That is, I imagined it was low, but not that low.
It was surprising for me as well. It was very surprising. I know Harvard research says that 90 plus percent of change management initiative do not succeed. 90%. Okay. And their research shows that the problem is the communication. Here, if when I look at that McKinsey report, 3%, I can also see that there is some communication issues are there. So round and round, it is about the communication that is a bigger problem.
It is. And it ties back to our last episode. If you haven't listened to it with Mark Anderson, we were talking about the investigative world, but at the end of the day, we were talking about communication and empathy and the power of listening to the other party in order to assist or promote change or to get insights. And just like you're saying, it is very interesting to hear that from an organization's perspective. A lot of these organizations throw training at it, but you're right. At the end of the day, they should first listen to their employees, see what's happening, and find that root cause. And I think you touched on something so powerful. Maybe they don't even need an outsider. Maybe they already have all the valuable information they need in that internal knowledge base that they haven't considered as a whole.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another interesting thing, Armando, is it's not when we talk about people, it's not about people don't do things that they don't know. The unfortunate part is they don't do things that they know. That is the problem. So it is not about providing or sharing the new knowledge. It is about creating the processes and systems in place that they do what they actually know. For example, it is a clear rule that you need to stop on a stop sign, right? You know it. But people who are jumping the stop sign, it's not that they don't know that they need to stop. They know, but they're not doing it. So if you go and send them to a training program from DMV to learn about stopping the stop sign, that is not the right solution, right? So that is one of the challenge that I see in most of the corporation is people know today's generation, Armando, is far better equipped to know the knowledge. They don't need an expert like me to come and share the knowledge. No, I'm not there to share the knowledge. But what I am there for is how to utilize that knowledge. When to use, when to accelerate, and when to pause, when to stop as a leader is the critical quality of a leader. So when I step in, and that's where what I do is I focus more on the retainership program with my clients. So it's not one and done. I stay connected with my clients for a longer time because I'm able to speak with the individuals. I can read their mind. I can be there when they need me. Because most of the time what happens, our leaders are so busy. They are in back-to-back meetings. And most of the leaders, they take pride, unfortunately, that, hey, my calendar is blocked. I'm not available for 3 months. Come on. You are a leader. You need to create time for your people. If your calendar is packed for 3 months, it's insane. So the employee, they need you as a leader right then when they have a problem. And if I am picking their call after 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, they have already figured out their solution. And I'm not saying that, all the time the leader has to be by the side of the employee. That is not what I'm saying. But then you need to make sure that you are there for your people. You are available for your people. And if your calendar is getting blocked for 3 months, I'm sorry that you need to find another leader for your people. Then you are not the great leader for your people.
That makes a lot of sense. What do you think is the importance of slimming down in that space? I'll explain. So sometimes, especially companies as they grow, they start to add managers and managers and managers and different levels. But if what you're saying is happening and they have many managers, but then at the end of the day, the managers are not leading as they should, is it better to have a leader that listens? Will that, with that scope, more than have many of them, or is it okay to have many of them? What's the balance?
So, so we have tried, and when I say we have seen in organizations where they have tried to have a functional manager and a people manager. So there are two group of people or two individuals. One is focusing on the functional aspect, the technical aspect of the work, and one is focusing on the people management aspect of the work. It was a good innovation model that we introduced, but it was not able to yield the results that we were hoping for. It's just a similar situation like sometimes kids goes to mommies and kids goes to daddies, right? But when mom and dad, when they are talking together, when they are together and talking to a kid, is a different environment altogether. Because there are certain things mom only knows, there are certain things dad only knows, and then if the mom and dad they are not talking to each other, the kids will take us for ransom, unfortunately, right? So the approach here should be is your leadership pipeline, the way we replenish our grocery stock every week. Similarly, we need to replenish leadership stock. So the leadership or leaders should not be developed when there is a need. Okay, you need to have leaders being developed every now and then so that whenever there is need, you can do plug and play. Now, many organizations, what they do is they provide leadership training when someone becomes a leader. And in my opinion, that is too late. So the leadership training has to start at the inception, at the start of the employees' work if they are starting fresh with your organization. And what I mean by leadership training, leadership program, and don't get me wrong, it is not only about the LinkedIn learning or Udemy platform or online training or for that matter in-person workshop. No, it has to be a holistic approach. Yes, those programs are important, but there has to be live mentorship or maybe day in life. So these newcomers can sit with leaders when they are making decisions, can sit in their meetings, how are they behaving, can sit with their, it could be they can accompany with a day with them. They can be given mock projects, they can be given responsibilities to mentor. Now, this is all should happen, but many places, Armando, these things are in paper, but in reality, it does not get executed, and that's where we see tremendous number of mental health issues, the number of patients with cardiac arrest, the number of diabetes, the number of blood pressure patients is increasing. And it is not only about the lifestyle or the food habits. It's also about the mental stress. Is the pressure which people are not able to cope up. And who are these people who are creating pressures? Yes, it is easy to blame an corporation. But corporation, who is corporation? Corporation is built by people. Corporation is built by leaders. So, if today we have to focus on reducing the mental health issues, in reducing the obesity issues, reducing the health issues, our focus has to be on leaders. Because most of us, I mean, whether we are individual contributors, whether we are working for corporations, working for government, wherever we are working, we always have leaders, managers. Okay. So if we focus on building them, right, providing them proper education, it would be a different world altogether. And I know saying it is very easy for me, execution is challenging. And that's where what I have done, and I always believe in creating ripple effect. and making an impact in your own inner circle. The world is too big for you to make an impact, but you can make an impact in your own home. So what I created, Armando, is a LinkedIn group, and it is fairly new. Just this March 30th only, I have announced a leadership sounding board. What this board is for leaders by leaders, because many times leaders, they don't have a go-to place, because an individual contributor has a manager. Yes, from a hierarchy perspective, everyone has a leader to the top, to the C level. And the C level also may have a coach. But in the day-to-day practicality, leaders have alone. Leaders are alone. They don't have go-to play people. So that's why I created this group where people can share the challenges. They don't have to share details like who is the name of the person, name of the company. No, we just want the situation, and then they can get a different perspective, because it is all about a perspective. From your perspective, you may think that this cannot be solved or this problem cannot be solved, but there will be someone else who will tell you, hey, you know what, if let's say if you're playing a chess, hey, move your horse from here to here. You think you are checkmate? No, you are not. There is still an option for you, because your mind is blocked. Your mind is not seeing that open option. Someone else can. So in my own capacity, I have created this group. It's free of charge. There is no, the only investment is time. So I'm looking for leaders who want to contribute to this group so that they can make a healthier and a happier place for people. And then individual contributors can join and ask their challenges, ask their issues to get different perspective.
I think that's a great idea. Communities are big and they're getting bigger because people have always had that longing for belonging in all manners of life. But it turns out that communities for like-minded individuals for a specific topic, micro communities, are extremely important and extremely valuable because people have that same, like you were saying, that same situation. And many of them have already had that situation happen, and they can share their results, what happened, what maybe they didn't get it to work, but at least you'll know what didn't work. And
Correct.
so
Correct.
those groups are very valuable, and I'm very happy you created it because I don't think we stop and think a lot about these managers or leaders. Where you were saying it, just where are they going? It's like when sometimes I fortunately have a very good communication with my wife, but there's a lot of people that the man or the woman or whoever in the couple does the work, goes to work every day, and keeps everything there, and the other person doesn't know, and they might be really stressed by what's going on in the work, even if they're doing well. It could be that it's just hard, or there are some difficulties or challenges, and there's no one to talk to. And so that it's just keeping it in is very tough. And sometimes you just need, I actually, soundboard you mentioned, I wrote something, I don't know, 2008, I think, on my blog back then, which was not really a blog. And it was about having soundboard, just someone. They don't even have to know about what you're talking about. Just be there, and you just bounce ideas off them, and you yourself sometimes just figure out the solution by having that interaction. And so this community is such a great idea because it will allow so many people, will empower so many people to keep going and reduce some of that stress and maybe even find solutions, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think you're spot on. 50% of problems get resolved the moment you speak out from your heart. Okay, because when you are speaking, honestly, you are also getting an answers in your mind, in your head. And when someone else is hearing that from a different perspective, you will be surprised. Like at times my kids tell me that, hey, no, dad, this needs to be done like this needs to be done like that, and I am taking a different route altogether. So you never know who will be of help to you. You don't need to have a very professional person to go and talk to. The new employee in your team could be the resource for you. So, so from the coaching and mentoring, it's not always to look up to the senior person or the experienced person. The newbies can also coach you. Maybe it may not be on the things that you are expert, but on the things when they are expert. That is something very very important. And another aspect is most of us, we always tend to believe that till we make things perfect, we should not move on. We need to make things perfect. And I was also like that individual for a long time in my career. It's very late in my career I realized that there is nothing called perfection. There is no purple squirrel available. There is no unique things that are available when it comes to the process or the strategy. A strategy, a good strategy is a strategy that is executable, not on paper. So, uh, our focus should be on taking imperfect action, but on consistent basis. Start small. Even if your goal is to walk a mile or maybe 10 miles a day, start small. Start with half a mile, start with 1 mile, and then gradually you will, but yes, be consistent. That is the key aspect to succeed.
I
Consistency.
what you're definitely on point on that. And you before the call, we talked about small but big, which is such a good insight in all matters of life. Right now, you were just saying about small but consistent because you make an impact. Even if it's a small impact, you're doing it consistently, you'll get to where you want. You want to start running a mile? Well, you have to start walking a few feet. And we see it on technology, on social platforms a lot. We get in that trap where I post something on TikTok and it might get 100 views or 500 views. And we're like, I only got 500 views. And you're feeling down about it. But why don't you stop and think? And there was this post I saw which was the perfect example. They put images of what a room looks like with 10 people, and what a room looks like with 100 people, and what an auditorium looks like with 1,000 people, and what an arena looks like with 10,000 people. And so you see that, and it's like, oh, wow, yes, 500 people saw your post, and you were saying before the call, you might make an impact to one person, even if 10 people see your post or they listen to the podcast. That's enough because maybe you made a change in that person, one of 10. It doesn't matter if you make a change in one of 1 million or one of 10. It's still that same person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And funny thing happened a few weeks ago. I was talking to someone on LinkedIn, and that person shared with me that, do you remember me? I have worked with you 10 years ago. And I guess the name ring a bell to me, but not exactly what that person was doing. And then he shared with me that I got some success in my work and you called me to congratulate. And that day you made me so happy. I was so happy. I was so excited. And you just made my day. Now he shared that with me. But when I did that, I had no intention that, okay, I need to make his day happy. I just did a job of a leader. If someone had a small success, I just picked up my phone and congratulated him. But the impact it made on him is something I am getting to know 10 years later. Right? So at times we are supposed to do what is right, what is good. Don't go into that thinking habit will impact him or her. No, that is not for you to think. As a human being, as leader, our job is to do good. Be good, do good. And when you be good, when you do good, it will turn out good. May not be today. Today you may not see the result, but yes, eventually you will. It is very similar to a bamboo tree. Bamboo tree, you need to nurture it, you need to water it for 5 years till you see something growing. And after 5 years, within 30, 60 days, it grows to 90 feet. So think like you are doing like a bamboo tree when you don't get results. And then you bring this perfect example, Armando, about the social media, about the views. Yes, I also get paranoid when I see LinkedIn. There are people who are getting 1,000 views on LinkedIn is big, or 1,000 likes. And my posts are averaging 25, 30 likes. And I was wondering, am I doing something wrong? Do I need to do something differently? But then I have given a lot of thought, but then I came to conclusion, well, I need to do what I am doing. Yes, I need to learn how to get better. Okay, I don't want to be complacent about it because things are changing. So I need to learn what are the things, what time I need to do the posting. Visuals are good for LinkedIn, make connection, commenting. So all those things I'm doing, but I'm not too much worried when it comes to, hey, that many likes, because likes does not mean anything. What it means is the impact, the transformation on people. So
Yes,
yeah,
and
good
that is
point.
excellent because likes definitely are not important, but then also reach, we see it with the numbers. It doesn't really compute in our minds to think of as people. But then if you go in and look at the stats, the research has shown that many people just consume content. They do not interact with it. And so while TikTok is a very engaging platform, still on TikTok, which is very tremendously engaging, and this applies to LinkedIn and Facebook and all of them, the vast majority of the users just consume. They don't post, and then some of them post, but then some interact and some don't. And you might change someone's life by them just consuming your content, and they're just there. And you see it when you go live. There's some people that just stick around, and they might watch 1 hour of you talking on your own while no one else stayed, but they were there and they were listening. And they didn't comment, they didn't say hi, they didn't interact, but they listened. And maybe something you said helped them out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. And like Instagram, I learned that Instagram, there are so many people who just binge Instagram, right? And then for hours, and there is no interaction they're doing. But what is happening is and I see at my home, my wife, my daughter. Suddenly, I hear a burst of laugh, okay, by watching some videos. So, as we know that laughter is a medicine. So if something is making you laugh, if something is able to make you do things that you don't do normally, that is an impact that tool has done to people. So, so yeah, knowing how the magnitude of impact is important. And when I was saying about likes, so yes, from a data perspective, number of likes is a good data point.
Mm-hmm.
But what I meant that likes does not mean, because if people are liking it but not making anything difference in their life, then it has no meaning. Like it happened. It's a funny story. I did my first LinkedIn live few months ago. Which did not go as expected. So some technical issue, but still there was like 2 or 2.5 minutes video got created and then automatically got posted. Okay, and in 10 minutes, I noticed that there are 10 likes, and I was wondering, did really people saw my post? Did they really actually watch the video? Because the video was nothing. There was nothing on that video because there was some technical glitch. But still people liked.
Mm-hmm.
So the point I want to bring is sometimes people don't even review, do not read, and they just like it. And
Mm-hmm.
you may feel
Absolutely.
happy that, oh wow, people have done this, people have done that. But the real happiness should be when people gives you feedback, how it has impacted their life, how it has helped them. Because changing, if you can make change in someone, I think that is the biggest thing you can do in anyone's life, change for better. And as individuals, that's where we should be striving for. Don't make life difficult for people. Make life easy for yourself and for people. Give them the experience that they want to come and work with you. Don't give them an experience that they are just one and done with you. Provide a meaningful experience. Build your aura in such a way that people love to talk to you. Build your aura in such a way that people are excited to do a meeting with you. Don't push off people. Don't rub people wrong way. There are people do get rubbed wrong way unknowingly. Unknowingly they are anyway getting rubbed. So, but knowingly don't do that. Avoid it. So, yeah, that's what it is. It's a wild west out there, Armando, and we just need to do our own bit to make things happy, to make world a better place.
You mentioned that earlier about people having an experience perhaps of stress when they first get into a leadership role because they didn't know about it, they weren't prepared. So, what is the typical trajectory for leadership? Are people mostly, in your experience, getting groomed for leadership just because of who they are and that's sort of the path they're following? Or can leadership happen for some who perhaps thought they would never be in those positions and are just working along, and then suddenly they found an aptitude that could take them to a leadership role? How common is that, or is it mostly the people that are just on that path from the start?
So the irony is that people want to move upward. That is the irony. And why I say irony is because not everyone is there to be a leader. Okay. And I'm not saying that everyone cannot be a leader. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are certain people who... So, okay, let me take a step back. I believe that there are certain things that comes naturally to us. Okay. Not that you get from outside world. Naturally to us, maybe your communication skills, maybe your personality, maybe your artistic, maybe your people management skills. So as individuals, it is important for us to be aware of who we are. So what are our natural talents? So when we know our natural abilities, then we need to focus on the path. What I have observed that there are so many people I have met in my life who are great mentors, not leaders. Because just because you are a great mentor does not mean that you can be a great leader. Because in mentorship, the accountability is less. There is no shared accountability in most of the mentorship roles. Okay, unless and until you are paid to do that, that's a different story. But in leadership, you have a shared accountability. The moment you become a leader, you have accountability of all the team members who are working with you. And you are leader not just for that one team, you are leaders for the entire organization. And that is one of the biggest challenge I have seen, or probably the mindset I have seen in leaders, that they consider themselves leader for that one group, one team. You are a leader for that organization, my friend. I have seen people, let's say they're going in an elevator, they don't even talk to people from other teams. I mean, what kind of representation you are doing for that organization? So from a trajectory perspective, we learn leadership right from young age, Armando. It is not that we learn from college or universities. We learn leadership right from our home. So your environment teaches you a lot. You are seeing your parents, you are seeing your uncles, your aunts, your family friends. You are seeing everything right as you are growing up. So you are developing your mindset, you are developing your experience. Then when you go to college, you see your professors, you see your, probably the colleagues, some senior colleagues, grad students. So you are developing your leadership skills there also, knowingly and unknowingly. Then there are certain individuals who invest time in going and consuming the content around leadership by reading books, listening to podcasts, going to leadership events. So you are learning all those things. So not necessarily mean when you join a corporation, you have no knowledge about leadership. No, that is not what I mean. You have knowledge about leadership, but probably your knowledge may not be relevant for that organization. So, most of the school systems, if you see in America, Armando, first to 12th, it's all about positive psychology, okay, which is good. I admire positive psychology. But what I do not admire is not being honest with people. It's everything cannot be good, 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 good. So the challenge today's millennials face in corporate America is because from grade 1 to grade 12, no one has told them that you are not good on this. What they have heard is all A's, you are good, you're amazing, you're awesome. That's what they have heard. When they come to college, probably the harsh reality hits them. But the truth happens when they enter corporate world. Then the manager tell you, hey, know what report you have created is BS. The email that you have written has a lot of spelling errors. And then you get into a shock. Oh my God, what is he telling me? Why is he telling me like that? Or why she's telling me like that? That's the truth. That is the reality. And that's where we as leaders, we need to be aware of the environment. I'm not saying don't show mirror to people, but you need to be aware from where they are coming. It is not their fault. It is not that employee fault that no one has given him the feedback. So as a leader, if I do not know the background, if I start bombarding on those people, if I start just telling them the spade is a spade, which is the right for me as a leader, but I need to understand from where that person is coming. So for me, I need to take a step back, give them an opportunity to speak that, hey, you have built this report. How do you think this report looks? Do you think it has everything? Do you think anything is missing? Do you think you can make it better? Having that kind of conversation versus just telling them, hey man, this report is BS. So from a leadership perspective, to come back and then close down on the question is, at times, there are people who will stay in their individual contributor role, but they could be a great mentor. And then there are certain people who will rose to the leadership role right from the early stage because they have adapted well to the environment, they grasp those things, and that this leadership comes naturally to them. And there is, in most of the organizations, there's another thing I have seen is there are people who are not announced leaders. So they don't have a title, but they are so influential that people go up to them for advice. Why? Because they are natural leaders. So organizations should pick up those individuals to whom that leadership comes naturally to them and groom them well early on. Like how the NBAs or the NFLs, they have their own scout teams to scout for players traveling to different countries. Similarly, organizations also have their own scout to identify who are those people to whom that natural leadership is coming, so that they can bring them to the a cohort based program where they are grinded and then they are getting all the right tools and techniques to hone their leadership skills. So that is what I would recommend for people. And in most of the times we see that because the organizations are going too fast, they have to have people, because I think there is this rule of thumb: for every 4 or 5 individual contributors, you have to have a team leader, you have to have a manager. Otherwise, it becomes too tedious for people to get the work accomplished. So think about it. You don't have that right leader. What you do is you just promote someone in the team,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that someone is ready, not ready, they want to be a leader, they don't want to be a leader, there's no questions asked, and you just move him to the leadership role. And that is where I see a challenge, because there is no leadership pipeline, there is no bench. So if you see in NFL or on NBA, and the reason I'm bringing sports, because sports is close to my heart, and you learn a lot many things from sports. There are so many people on bench. This last weekend we were in Philadelphia. We watched this 76ers games against Toronto Raptors. And what we realized, that it was a team B for 76ers that was playing, because all the A players, they were injured. How could they have still a very competitive game? Because they had bench. In NFL, you have multiple your quarterbacks. One quarterbacks get injured, you have number two, number three. So this is the bench. So why aren't we as organizations, we are learning from the sports that we watch on a day-to-day basis? Why are we not having bench for leadership? So
That's a good one. That's a great analogy. I've seen it very much with friends that they might be. Let's talk about my industry. So we're in engineering, computer science, etc. And I've seen people who are very good, tremendously good at what they do in software, for example, and they're very good at managing their own time, and they're proactive, and they're some of the best employees, right? But then what you just said happens, and they get promoted to a leadership role or a manager role, and now they have people under them that report to them, but they don't really want to do that. They were having fun doing the other thing, and they were so good at it. And now here, they just go and manage people. So they turned into, from having studied and practiced and actually enjoyed and had a passion for software, for example, now all of a sudden, they're in business and management. And that might not be what they wanted, but then they get promoted more, and then obviously there's the money part, and now they have reports that have reports that have reports, and so it's very hard for them to come back down to the actual working, which for some people, it's actually, especially in software, it's so fun. If you enjoy it, it's a creative process and it's an analytical process. So you use both sides of your brain so much. It's a fantastic. I recommend it to anyone just to try it. Software is great because it's like an alchemist. You can create something out of nothing, and it's exciting. It's hard sometimes, but it's very exciting. And so going from that to being a manager, if you like being a manager, it's fantastic. That's perfect. We need leaders. But if you were just pushed along, that just derails your path. And I think the bench idea is fantastic. We should have leadership ready to go for when it's needed, and you used to hone them, you start training them, but people who actually want to do that, right?
Correct. Yeah. And in that, what I have observed is, when you identify those high potential employees, how you identify is where the rubber hits the road. Because if you just identify high potential based on their numbers, based on their performance, that is how typical organizations do, Armando. In my opinion, that is not always the right thing to do, because you need to look at the mix of many things. Yes, numbers are important, but numbers are not everything. You need to see their personality aspect. You need to see their mindset. You need to see their background. You need to see their culture that they are bringing to the team. There are so many things that you need to look. And then you identify that, okay, this is my true high potential employee. The unfortunate part is the high potentials are all those high performers. And high performers, they are very, very difficult to manage. It is the reality, because all great employees are difficult to manage. I'm sure if you go and ask my leader, I was difficult to manage for him or for her, because I had different managers. So it's important for us to really do the right identification, because in a couple of situations I have seen that when I am presenting my solution, they say, oh yeah, we have this. But then when I did a deeper dive, The problem was, yes, they had it, but how they were executing was the problem. So they were not getting the results because the execution was not happening right. So just because you have a high potential program, you may think that, okay, yes, my leadership is good. No, you really need to do a deeper dive and then make sure that you have a right process in place, right way to evaluate people. And it is easier than said done. I know in a bigger corporation it's real challenging, but the small to medium enterprises, it's really easy. It's fairly easy, I would say, to manage the process.
That's very, very true. And not only having the process, but following through with it. And to that point, I actually have one last question for you here. In your books, you speak a lot about habits and positive habits. What, how does one start creating positive habits so that they can accomplish these structures properly and grow?
Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, my both my books, Habits for Miracles and Be Action Oriented, I talk a lot about positivity, a lot I talk about habits. First and foremost is, in my opinion, is the your environment in which you are living, in which you are breathing, and what I call them is your inner circle. So you need to be aware about your inner circle. Your inner circle is critical. And inner circle are basically those 10, 20 people with whom you are interacting on a regular basis. And that 20 number could be high, it could be smaller as well. So that is number one. You need to make sure your inner circle is right. And within your inner circle, Armando, there are people who really drive change in you. And there are people who really bring you down. And they're still part of your inner circle. Okay. So what I call them is those people who are bringing change in you, they are your energy boosters. And the people who are bringing you down, they are your energy drainers. And the unfortunate part is both these people will exist in our world because not everyone is having a great day. Sometimes that the person who is your energy booster could be energy drainer depending on their own environment. The critical thing is important for us to know who are our consistent energy drainers and who are our consistent energy boosters. So that is number one. So you need to have that inner circle. The second thing is our mind. We receive close to 50 to 60,000 thoughts in a 24-hour period. That is what the number according to research. And the unfortunate part is out of these thoughts, most of them, almost 90% of them are negative thoughts. So when you are surrounded in your mind with all this negativity, it's really becomes challenging for you to stay positive. So it is important for us to keep our mind positive. And one way or a couple of ways for us to keep our mind positive is to continuously listen or to read positive literature, focusing on positive mind talk. Even when negativity is creeping in, you need to change your thought process, your mind talk. And I talk in my book, Mind Talk. So talk positive to your mind. And the third thing is the positive people. So you should be having some people in your circle that when you are feeling low, you call them, you become up. So it could be your friend, it could be your spouse, it could be your mentor, whoever. But you need to have some people to whom you can count on. So to change, so these are some of the foundation for building positive habits. One is to keep our mind positive. Second is, as I said, about the inner circle. And then the third thing I would say is your willpower. Because if you do not have a strong willpower, then you will not be able to sustain it. And what I mean by willpower is, let's say if you want to go for exercise in morning 6 a.m., you are all good intention to go, but you're not able to wake up. Sometimes your alarm does not go away, or sometimes you're sick, sometimes you're tired. It's not happening. But if you have a strong willpower, then there are no excuse that will stop you. Then there is no one in the world who will stop you from doing that thing. And that is that willpower. And willpower, you need to master your willpower. And the inner circle that I talk about will help you doing the positive, to strengthen your willpower. Your energy boosters will help you strengthen your willpower. The another thing that will help you strengthen your willpower is knowing yourself. Let's say 6 a.m. Okay. Now, let's say if you are a 20-year-old person, and just giving some data here, and if in last 20 years, hardly you have ever woke up at 6 a.m. Now you say that tomorrow I want to wake up at 6 a.m. Yes, you can have it, but then you need to look at the data points. You need to know yourself. Are you a morning person or not? If you set up 6 a.m. time for you to go to gym, you are setting yourself for a failure. So being self-aware, being aware about our own strengths, our own abilities is important. So instead of going to 6 a.m., go to 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or probably, earlier, later in the day. So that is what I mean by knowing yourself. Knowing yourself is what are the things that brings the best in you? Does the pressure brings the best in you? Does the autonomy brings best in you? Does a lot of information from your leaders bring best in you? You need to know that, and you need to share this knowledge with your people. So let's say tomorrow you have a new leader. You need to explain to them what is the best, how you can bring the best in you. You need to share your working style with them. Otherwise, you will get suffocated, and then you will not, be able to succeed. So the success remains in our hands. So if tomorrow you want to build positive habits, these are the three things I would recommend you. Number one is, know your inner circle. Who are your energy boosters and energy drainers? Number two is focus on your strengthening your positive literature. Increase your reading or listening to music or talking to positive people. And number three is the willpower. And willpower, strengthening your willpower, will happen when you know yourself. When you know yourself, then sky is also not the limit for you. You can really do whatever you think you want to do. So that is what I would comment on how we can focus on positive habits.
Rahul, that's excellent advice. I think to anyone listening, if you follow that advice, you will see some positive change in your life. It's not a question of if, it's just that's how it works. And Rahul has many years of experience in this, has written a couple of books on the matter, apart from a large body of work. So yes, positivity, very important, but with a purpose. Right? And with a structure, if possible. Rahul, it has been an honor having you on the show. I really appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about leadership, but also about what you do and your business?
Sure. The easier way is for them to type my name, rahulkaransharma.com. It's my website. Would encourage people to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my URL also is linkedin.com/Rahul Karan Sharma. And if they connect with me and mention about this show, I'll be more than happy to share a complimentary copy of my ebook, Be Action Oriented, because focus is on making that small change, taking that small step for bigger change. So it was a pleasure to be here on your show, Armando. Wishing you the best, my friend.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rahul. And you heard it there. I'm going to put it in the show notes, but make sure you reach out to Rahul. Thanks again.